The echo room. Anaya learned early on that silence could be a shield, but she didn't realize until much later that it could also be a cage. It began when she was 17, the kind of age where you're not quite a child, but not fully armored to face the weight of the world either. She had always been quiet, observant, thoughtful, the kind of girl who teachers trusted and peers overlooked. Inside, a storm was brewing, not of rebellion or defiance, but of something far more insidious. Anxiety, fear that crept into her skin, that made her hands shake during presentations, that made her chest tighten when friends laughed and she couldn't find the words to join them. But no one noticed, because she smiled, because she got good grades, because she didn't cause trouble. Until the day the mask slipped. She came home one evening, palms clammy, heart pounding after a panic attack in the school bathroom. She had hidden in a stall, biting down on her own knuckles to keep from making a sound. That night, she broke. She told her mother she thought something was wrong, that the world felt heavy, that she was scared all the time. Her mother's face hardened. "You're being dramatic," she said, barely looking up from her phone. "I never wanted a daughter who's this weak." Anaya didn't speak for the rest of the night. And then, for years, the silence became her home, her protector, her punishment. She finished high school, went off to university, and moved out as soon as she could. A new city, a new apartment, a new set of routines where no one knew who she used to be. But some ghosts are good at following. Her panic returned in waves, sometimes in crowded subways, other times in the frozen aisle of a grocery store. She told no one. She had learned her lesson. Vulnerability meant rejection. Speaking meant getting burned. So she became what the world celebrated: functional, employed, independent, pretty in a way that made strangers smile but not stop, numb in a way that made life easier to survive but harder to feel. She dated, not often, not deeply. One man said she was mysterious. Another, less kindly, told her she was emotionally absent. She almost laughed at that one. Emotion wasn't absent, it was screaming inside her. Every day, she had just mastered the art of silence. It was a cold February afternoon when something shifted. She had been walking home from work in the rain, coat clutched tightly around her, when she ducked into a tiny bookstore she'd never noticed before. It smelled like paper and cinnamon. Old wooden shelves leaned under the weight of forgotten stories. A soft jazz record played somewhere in the back. She didn't know what she was looking for. She found a poetry book. Spine cracked, pages yellowed, a single page dog-eared near the end, a line underlined in faded pencil. "The hardest person to forgive is the one who didn't know how to love you right." She read it, then again, and something inside her cracked open. That night, she didn't scroll through her phone or distract herself with a show. She sat by her window, the city lights blinking like slow heartbeats outside, and wrote, not a letter to anyone else, a letter to herself. She wrote about the bathroom stalls, the echo of her mother's voice, the silence that wrapped itself around her spine. She wrote about the shame, the fear, the loneliness of being unseen, unheard. She wrote until her hand cramped, and then she cried. Not the quiet, controlled tears she was used to, but raw sobs that came from a place she had buried years ago. Afterward, she burned the letter in a small metal bowl, watched the flame eat the paper, curl the edges, turn it to ash, watched it disappear, and whispered, "I forgive you. I forgive me." Healing didn't come all at once. It came in the form of therapy sessions, where she finally spoke out loud what she had once buried. It came in small, trembling moments like texting an old friend back or saying no when she meant it. It came in learning to sit with discomfort without trying to erase it. And eventually, it came in calling her mother not to confront, not to blame, but to reclaim her own voice. "I needed you back then," she said. Her voice didn't shake, "and you didn't show up. But I'm learning to show up for myself now. That's enough." Her mother didn't apologize, but she listened. And that, too, was something. Anaya began to fill her apartment with things that made her feel, books that made her cry, art that made her think, music that said what she couldn't. She adopted a cat with nervous eyes. She named him Mako, because sometimes healing means looking your trauma in the eye and choosing to love it anyway. Sometimes it means building a room inside yourself where the past can echo without breaking you. Anaya still had quiet days. She still had anxious mornings, but they didn't define her anymore. She wasn't broken, she was becoming, and in that becoming, she was finally, fully, free. If this story touched your heart, don't leave quietly. Subscribe for more soul-healing stories like this, because sometimes, the right words can stitch the wounds no one sees.